Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Success Catalyst podcast. This is Nina Robert, and today I have the great pleasure to invite Asha Hope. Asha is a master hypnotist, and he helps coaches and entrepreneurs relax into wealth. So far, I'm so intrigued. I would love to know more about this. So, Asha, can you tell us more about yourself?
Yes, and thank you for inviting me, thinking about me for this podcast. It's a pleasure to share my voice and also share my story and help other people to empower themselves through what I have to share. Well, more about myself. There is so much to say, and I feel like one of the things that are very important is that I am here where I am because so many experiences in my life have shown me that it was possible. And I wasn't believing into it since the beginning. I wasn't believing that having a life where I would be recognized and praised and seek for what I do was possible because I grew up in a place where my parents would say that life is difficult. We need to work hard and we need to work a lot. And I remember that my dad was being very proud of himself when he would work on a Saturday or on Sunday. It's something that me, very rebellious early age, I didn't want to believe in. And I knew that there was something else. And that's what led me to explore life in all the ways I could. Made a lot of mistakes through it. Lost a lot of time, money, had some very horrible emotions to go through. Went to treason and breakups. But I learned a lot of things from that. And that's why I realized that all the things that I wanted, the best thing I wanted to have, started within me. And as I've traveled, that was the proof of it, because I've been to many countries, having the most amazing life I could, but I realized really quickly that my problems that I was trying to run away from were following me. So that's the moment I realized that I needed to change if I wanted my problem to be solved. And the beautiful thing is that I didn't solve this problem. I just don't have them anymore, which
Wonderful.
seems crazy because the rest of the world still have them, but I'm not part of that equation anymore. I just work on a different path. So I want to invite everybody who's listening to realize that if you came to the Success Catalyst to listen, it's because you knew that you're on a path and there's something different that you want. And so you can be grateful for Nina to show you different ways of living, because through a story that we're sharing an array of possibility that you might not have seen before.
That's wonderful. I love how you described it. And I love the new perspective that you brought about not having the problem anymore instead of looking to solve it. I love that. Perception is magical. The moment you arrive at that point of freedom, that you are able to change perception and to change your point of view and to be free from whatever you think is limiting you or was limiting you, it's then you know that you have the most power over your environment, over your life, over your choices. I absolutely love that. I always say that every success story starts with a challenge. So what would you say was your biggest challenge?
Wow, it's a big thing. Well, it's finding happiness in the world where it's not being valued. Now, I might have seen that, and I believe that it's a very cultural thing that I've seen in my culture, because I was born in a Christian country, and in the Christian religion, there is this belief that suffering is a path to salvation.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen that through all different stages of my life, where my parents would bring me to church and all of the stories I would hear. And besides that, I could see that it's very easy to see in the culture we live in, there's a lot of blocks on being happy and living your best life. People would say in other cultures that karma is a bitch, be careful because it's going to come back to you. Other people will tell you that the government is there, that trying to take your money away or things. Some people will talk that the aliens will come and do something. There's always something big that you cannot control in the world
Yeah.
that is going to prevent you from being happy. And this was my biggest dream when I was a kid. It was just to stay happy and just live that life all the time. And when I grew up to be a teenager, that's the moment where that desire was confronted by the reality. I was forced to go to school, and people told me that you're gonna have to work for someone who's gonna fix your income, and you're gonna be limited because you're gonna have to work 5 days a week, 8 hours a day for like almost nothing. And that was something that really didn't work for me. And in my teenager mind, it just led me to just realize that I could make money on my own. And so I started doing different ways. I started to create parties for teenagers because I realized that teenagers just want to party, they want to drink alcohol, and they
Mhm.
want to meet each other and maybe do other things together. So I thought, well, this is a very nice thing. I love doing this, and I wanted to be very popular at the time as well. So I started doing that, and that led me to start selling drugs, and realized that, oh my God, I can make so much more money by doing that, and my popularity is rating even more. But that created a lot of limiting beliefs. I mean, I was there, the victim of my own limiting beliefs, because I believe that you cannot make a lot of money while having everything you want.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I realized that if I'm not following the rules, I can have it. So I moved myself outside of the regular spectrum of society and started doing criminal stuff to make that money, and really developed the sense of like moving goods and making money with it, which led me to have a very, very good teenager life and early adulthood with much more money than I needed to do whatever I wanted. But one day, the other reality of that came to me, that it's not a very beautiful world. Some people are dangerous in that place. And that created a lot of problems, which got me to understand that that was not the best way. That actually integrating myself with society and playing with my own rules through the respect of the rules of others, respecting their boundaries, but not letting their boundaries step onto me. And I'm pretty lucky to be living in a world where we have access to this technology, because 50 years ago might not have been the same thing. But today, anyone with a smartphone can open a company in another country, be tax-free,
Mm-hmm.
and enjoy whatever business they want to do. If you want to sell stuff on Amazon, or if you want to just sell your services, you can.
Yeah.
And you can start with knockouts on Google. There's so many ways that you can just start doing things. So I just really feel like lucky to be living in this time of the existence.
You know, there's a saying that I love. It goes like this. The opposite of courage is not cowardness, it's conformity. And most people will choose conformity over any other opportunity or possibility because it's easier, and because at some point we have been wired to think that way because everyone else thinks that way. And if we don't, then we're the weirdo. But stepping up and say, okay, I'm the weirdo, I'm gonna do it my way, that's courageous.
Oh, some cat is calling you.
That's my cat. She wanted to participate in the podcast today. She has something to say as well. So let me ask you, what would you say was the most valuable lesson that you've learned throughout all these adventures that you've had as a teenager entrepreneur and up until now?
Well, I would say there is a series of lessons that goes together, because just saying one advice wouldn't fit for all situations. The first one I want to say is that taking actions towards what you want is the most important thing. Whether you know you're gonna fail or not, whatever you do, even if you fail, you do something special, people will recognize you for trying. That's already one thing. When I did some of the craziest things in my life, people would just see, wow, you're trying to do it. And even today, when I'm trying new things, I recently tried a thing that's called a slack line between two trees, and I jumped on it. And the
Yeah.
guy was like, "This is the first time you're doing it?" I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Why are you not scared?" I was like, "I don't know. Is there a reason?"
Why
I
should
didn't
I
know.
be? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is just connect with your breath. your breath will get you further than anywhere. Like every discomfort you're going through, you just need to breathe. Just really, because discomfort is just your body giving you some hormones. And the faster your heart is beating, the faster they're getting to your brain and to your body. And the more you feel that agitation, like, oh my God, I'm stressed and nervous. But if you know that by breathing out, you're just reducing the space for your heart to beat. So it's going to naturally slow down. And so just by learning how to, at every time something's happening, you just breathe down, you lower that stress response. And then you give more space for your brain to think, and you can be like, okay, actually, there is like 3 different ways I can come up right now to solve the situation. And anyone can have 1 to 3 situations. And that might be the most amazing. If you have $1 million in your pocket, you can solve everything you want very easily without thinking about it. But then you can just ask yourself, what are in my direct space, what can I use to solve that? And just getting feedback from that and keeping the momentum. So mainly is really like learn to take actions and learn that you can breathe through them.
You know, I think somehow at some point of life, we kind of forget about the importance of breath work if we're not really into this kind of practice. And I always notice in kids, they know the breath work. They do the breath work. Every time like you ask a kid a question or they're stressed or they don't know what to say, first thing they do is they take a deep breath and then they think about it. And it's innate, it's intuitive, but somehow at some point of life, we end up unlearning this. So it's very valuable. I think it's very important to bring it up again. So let me ask you one more thing. What do you think is the most common challenge that you think your clients are facing now that you're working with coaches and entrepreneurs, people in business in general? What would you think is the most common challenge that these people are facing?
I mean, the thing that what I see or they don't see is that they have so much power in themselves. As like always, like there is a wall in front of me, it's a problem, I cannot solve it. And there's so much around it. And that is the biggest problem, is that they don't realize. And that's why I really want everyone to know what it is, the power of hypnosis, because there is so much power and you can just play with it. You know? And there is nothing that you don't know. And we have a creative power. And it's very often, I'm asking people like, yeah, how would it feel to have that? And sometimes we're like, I don't know how it would feel. You know it, you just don't have the awareness that you know. And I get people to just understand that they can use parts of what they know and mix them together to create a new feeling. And then they're like, oh yeah, I can do that? Yeah. How does it feel to have so much free time? It feels very good, like this. And how would it feel to have so much free time because you're making money? And then it's like, oh, like just making these things. So imagine now if you're making more money, how much more freedom can you afford? And then it's just like, oh yeah. And just mix different feelings that they know these different things. And then when you take them together, you start imagining new things, imagining new scenarios in your life. That's why you're stuck, is because you're still imagining the same scenarios before. And you lack creativity. And that's all. The more you play with your creativity of like, I can do that this way. So just take a journal and write down whatever you feel like you want to do. I'm having a sales training right now. I'm telling to people, write down how you want this conversation to happen, not to create a script of how you're going to do it every time, just to train your brain to have the answer that will lead you to the place you want. And that's it. And then you can forget them. And probably you might manifest some of them by mistake. And then you go, oh my God, it's what I written in my notebook. So yeah, the power of creativity can come from all ways. And that just is very simple. Taking 2 things that you know and combining together. And that's it.
Wow, that's amazing. I've always believed that a lack of awareness would keep us in a loop. And the loop is usually most usually is negative. We think about the worst case scenario and we end up rewiring our brain over and over again to be really hooked into this worst case scenario kind of thinking. We think about discussions that are never happening, never going to happen, and most cases are negative. We think about how we can fail instead of how we can succeed. And we think about lack instead of abundance, which is not serving us at all. And it only takes just one bit more of awareness. So thank you for pointing this out. So you work with coaches and entrepreneurs. How do you usually work with them? Do you have in-person or online workshops? Tell us more about your business.
So at this moment, I'm not doing anything in person anymore. I used to do a lot of in-person things when I was living in Bali, and probably when I will be in a more tropical place, I start doing that again. But right now it's mainly through the digital platforms. And the way I work, well, it's really about letting go of what you want and accepting that you don't have to get in there. And each session is very unique. And at each session, I'm just like taking my gifted power that I have of sensing people and feeling them. And so I feel their energy field. And from there, I'm getting them to shift it and showing them that it's very easy actually for them to shift it, that just with their awareness, they can do it. And I'm showing them that by shifting their awareness, they can take a different point of view from what they believe is a problem and look at it from another point of view. And then either change the energy from it or just forget about it. And create something new by bringing new emotions, by associating emotion that they already know together and say, hey, or just like changing the value of an emotion, because a lot of people are blocked into some places or refusing to go into some places because the emotion they have connected to something doesn't feel good. And we can change that. We can make ourselves feel good, or also create a solid foundation for doing something. Because sometimes also we don't want to do something because we are afraid that we don't have support to do it. We humans, we need to grow. And it's very beautiful when you see a tree. A tree grows in two directions at the same time. We see the part where it grows up. That's very beautiful. It's a big span, but the roots are growing as deep as the branches. And that is something that we need to learn as well. A lot of people who are going too fast to the top and then just fall down very quickly are these people who didn't grow enough stability and a foundation between what they're doing. That's why they failed. And there is no way of to say, oh, these people were too fast in their to say, no, they went pretty fast. But they didn't think about growing roots and roots. You can make in 30 days crazy changes as long as you have a strong foundation. In more like spiritual work, the foundation is really having a practice, having like something you do in the morning and the evening, just really to feel grounded there. So when the change is coming, you're not falling into a negative pattern. And also having a community that supports you and that accept that you're going to be different and just recognize you for that. Because we are humans. And there is one thing we talked a lot about the fear of abandonment, but it's true facts. We cannot live without that. Because we have physical bodies. Our physical bodies are like animals. And they have needs. They have needs of safety. They have needs of food. And we know that we might get sick at one point. We know that surviving on our own is not possible. Even though we're creating AI, we're creating the robots and all of these things, they're never going to solve this need we have of belonging. Because we know deep down that there are going to be days we're not going to get at top and we're going to need someone else to feed us.
Right.
So that is what we need. Some personal stability with the practice we do, but also interpersonal stability with having people we know we can count on. And then the stronger the people we can count on, the stronger we can become.
Wow, this is so simple yet so powerful. On a conscious level, a person has the ability to choose to accept, reject, or ignore any idea. but we end up believing in whatever it is that's surrounding us. We watch the news, we listen to our friends, we are distracted by our environment, by social media, by everything that's around us. But we tend to forget that we do have this power to just take a step back, take a deep breath, and remember that you do have the power to choose your thoughts. And after that, your thoughts will shape your feelings. That's what you were talking about. And your feelings will eventually trigger you to step into action and to start that business, to do that thing, to earn that money, to realize that dream. And your actions will trigger the result. So there you have it. That's a new loop, but this time it's positive. I love that. So, do you work usually in group or in person? And what do you think is the difference for someone who's new to this practice?
Well, I have more. I mean, if I'm looking at it in a way, I have less groups, but in the groups there's more people, and then I have a lot of one-on-ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say it's pretty balanced in general. Throughout my old time, there are seasons where I'm more into doing groups and seasons where I'm just doing one-on-ones. The biggest difference for people starting between groups and one-on-one.
Yeah, because some people would prefer working in groups, some others would prefer to start one-on-one. What would you think is the difference, and what makes people choose one or the other?
That's a very good question. I never really asked myself that, but my first answer would be a level of intimacy. Of
Yeah.
like saying like if I'm building trust with a coach, I know I can trust him not to judge me.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm going to a group, will I be judged by the other people? That's the only thing that I really can think of. I don't have like a concrete answer because I never went asking people.
Mm-hmm.
But for my part, that would be the thing. On the other hand, I want to say that groups are way more powerful than one-on-ones.
Mm-hmm.
One-on-one are very tailored, and you just really like go with a scalpel and do a laser cut where
Mm-hmm.
it needs to be on the person. But the thing is that with groups, it goes towards the idea of like we're being supported, and whatever we're gonna do with other people that are believing and moving forward with us. There is one thing we need to understand that the bigger the impact we want to do, and that's how I get people to just break their income ceiling and go over 6, 7 figures, is that in understanding that they're not selling at one point. Like when you're working with individuals, you're selling like a benefit to the person. But when you're selling to mass, it's an ideal that you're selling. Like just for
Mm-hmm.
example, Elon Musk, we always say, we want to invest in people who have already been there, done the thing. Elon Musk has never been to Mars. Yet there are so many people supporting him because he's selling an ideal. And
Mm-hmm.
people are not giving him his money for the result, but for the idea of surpassing ourselves
For the
and
vision.
surpassing the limitation of living on Earth and being,
Yeah.
hey, we can live on 2 different planets. And it's not a personal goal that is. It's more of
Mm-hmm.
like an impact that goes for the whole people. So we understand that when you're in a group, it's really like you're not just having a personal outcome. It's really like the legacy that you're working. That is the biggest difference. And that's why groups and just creating higher impact is really a shift in your mindset, not in how you're making the money. It's just really like, what is the legacy that I'm selling? And that's what people are going to buy. They're going to give you the money so you create that legacy, not for the result they're going to get. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, you have to bring them the result, but usually you've already been to the place of I'm bringing result to individuals to the moment you're like, oh, I want to bring results to the collective and to have a generation change.
That's wonderful. Wow, I love it. I love your vision. And I've noticed on my side, since I work with clients as well, some of them are willing to be vulnerable and to share their challenges within a group because they know the value of working as a team, as a group within the same vision or within at least the same wavelength, the same frequency. That kind of amplifies the energy of the group, and everyone gets the benefit from that. And some other people are really trying to stay laser focused on their challenge which I don't think it's bad at all, but sometimes you have to stay focused on your challenges, and sometimes you're not willing to be vulnerable enough to share everything since day one within a group of people that you don't know. So that's totally understandable. I think in summary, we can say that it's all a personal choice, and it's great that you provide either this or that. You give the choice to your clients to choose working one-on-one with you or working within a group. So if one of our listeners is interested in working with you, how can we find you and where can we find you?
Well, the two main places I'm active right now are YouTube and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to feed a YouTube channel with like hypnosis and sessions, workshop sessions with a bit longer. Hypnosis generally 20 minutes because that's enough for most people to get deep, clear out, and come back.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm also doing like some lighter sessions that are longer for people who have like more difficulties to get into hypnosis. So these sessions are a blend between EFT, which is tapping on different part of the body,
Mm-hmm.
and at the end, I'm bringing some energy work and light hypnosis. So for people to just really feel the change happening and envision what could happen there. And so, well, my Facebook is named Asha Hope, and my channel on YouTube is also Asha Hope, but you can find him with the handle, The Best of Asha.
All right. Okay. I'll make sure to put all these details in the description of the episode. And to sum up, what would you say could be one advice that you would give someone who's getting challenged by life, getting challenged by big goals, and getting maybe stuck?
Well, the first thing I would say is that life brings us challenge that we can answer.
Mm-hmm.
That is the first thing. The second thing is that you need to remove yourself from your own way. It's like, oh, I cannot solve this because you believe that if you do some of the solutions that you have, people will make fun of you or they will not love you, whatever. I think there are two kinds of discomfort in life. There is the one that is a physical discomfort. So like you're going to run and your legs are sore and walking is painful and that's very discomfort. So you don't want to run too much. You're just like, oh, I don't like running because running hurts my leg. Yeah. Okay. That's discomfort. And then there's a second discomfort, which is the mental discomfort of like, I want to do it. But then when I'm trying to do it, it feels bad. And then at night, you're just like turning in your bed, oh, fuck, I want to do it. And you cannot sleep. And that is the mental discomfort. And the mental discomfort has nothing to do with what you want to do. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have mental discomfort from running. Running just gives you the physical discomfort because the activity of it is using the joints and dislocating your things and the muscles are like working and everything. So there is like this. But the mental discomfort is just because at one point someone told you or someone shamed you or something happened wrongly about something, or you didn't even try to do it, but people told you that's very dangerous. If you play with fire, you're gonna burn yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So you get these mental ideas that create mental discomfort. And that mental discomfort, that's coming from someone else. So you need to accept that you can love yourself no matter what. That this block that you feel, that if you really have energy sensitive, and you feel that thing that you want to do, you might feel like some fear in your heart or some block in your heart. And you just can accept that there is this block in front of your heart preventing you from attracting it. And just by feeling it, you just can at one moment notice that you're able to go through that block with that love, without removing the block, without removing the safety that you created for yourself to be accepted. Just feel the love going through it and say, hey, I can love myself through that pain. I can love myself anyway. And I'm doing it with many people on a regular basis. I'm showing them the exact same exercise and put them into hypnosis. And I'm just getting them to feel that block in your energy, feeling like, yeah, I can feel it. It's just like a wall. It's just like putting pressure. It's so hard. You cannot go through it. I'm just like, so just feel the love go through it. Because
Mm-hmm.
love is not something that's tangible. It's not something that's hard. It goes through things. And just feel it going through it. And then realize that you don't need to remove it. You don't need to think you have to change. You just can accept that it's there for a reason. And there are other ways to live with it. And then the block just melts away. And that's all. And just so beautiful. So I just get a session like 1 hour before this session, this interview. So I can again testimony that it works. You know?
Wow.
It's very beautiful.
It is indeed. Those were so many golden nuggets of wisdom. So thank you so much for sharing all this beautiful way of thinking. I would say that's a new perspective that every one of us could bring to their life. So thank you again, Asha. Any words that you want to close this interview with?
Whatever dream you have, you can get to it. You can get to it. It's very simple. It might take some more time than others, but that's not a problem, you know? If you look at trees, there is one apple tree that might have apples. The other one might not have them yet. But no one's gonna scream at them, oh, you're too slow. No. The farmer, when he see that one tree is not giving apples, he's just going to the other one. And it's the same way with the things you do in your life. When you have like a passion and you probably have a hobbies on the side and you just feed your passion like, oh, I want to make income from that. And the income is not coming yet. That's okay. Don't worry. Just go to one of your hobbies. Feel in that and feel that energy of like, oh, I'm feeding that hobby and the results are coming. And then you just say like that feeling of like the results are coming here. You just keep in yourself and you just look at the passion that you want to have income from and just put it there. It's like, hey, what if I could have results from that too? And just let them happen.
Wonderful. And I guess the apple tree will never question its own abilities. It will just do its best.
Exactly.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you again so much for joining me today, Asha. And thank you to all our listeners. I will put all your details in the description, and we'll see you back in another episode of the Success Catalyst. Thank you.